Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Robin TM Tim Drake TM. Interesting that they don't say DC's Robin. Why does Hasbro do that? I wonder what that's about. Does anybody know about like copyright law and stuff like that? Robin and Tim Drake are trademarks? Huh. Weird. Anyway, that's a side note that really doesn't matter at all to you guys probably. So this figure is another DC Multiverse figure. There's one interesting thing about it that's basically why I got it to review it, because I think it looks bad otherwise. But I know some of you are going to be interested in it, and there is, like I said, one interesting thing. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before we look at the figure, I do want to show you my package. Standard DC Multiverse packaging. I don't think it's an ugly package. I like it for the most part for being a basic action figure release. I think the black, white, blue look is fine, especially for the DC branding. No problem at all. A lot of artwork on the back. One big image that shows you what the figure should look like. I wish they had looked at that when they were making the figure. But otherwise, pretty much standard. You know what, Todd? Just give it a rest. DC, Todd, everybody involved, stop with the weird things that go digital and everything else. Just sell the damn toys. Oh my goodness. Alright. Okay, let's talk about the figure. This guy stands a whopping 18 centimeters, not even counting some of his hair, and that's going to be about 7 inches. So let's compare him to a Batman. Ooh, I don't remember Tim being bigger than Batman. I know this is one of the smaller Batman molds, but still, he's taller. He's lankier, but he is taller. That's super weird, just for scale, so you guys have an idea. There's your Marvel Legends Darwin. Okay, question of the day. How many of you guys are thoroughly into the McFarlane DC line? Are you guys buying a lot of these releases, or are you cherry picking? Are you buying all of them? I know there are collectors for every line that buys everything the company puts out. Are you one of those people for this? Let me know. Or are you just cherry picking? For me, I'm a cherry picker, as you've seen, because I've reviewed everything I buy from them except for like 1 or 2 things, and I'm thinking about getting rid of all but maybe a couple really standout figures because they're just so bad. Just so bad. So let's lead in with the aesthetic. Mostly he's got a matte finish, or satin finish at least. I guess that's, well, I take it back. It's like that for the legs and crotch. The upper parts are a lot shinier, so I don't know. He's pretty shiny at the top. The reds don't match, even though they're both painted, so that sucks. The greens are okay. The paintwork for the sleeve is not, I mean, it's just paintwork. There's no sculpt there. So that's unfortunate, and the paintwork for the skin tone is bad. His face, what is this? Why do they keep doing these anime faces? Half their line is like hyper realistic, not half, but maybe some percentage of the line is this goofy stuff right here. What the heck is that? Are they just that bad at sculpting? Also, is his thing supposed to be green or black? And also, is that the look they were going for? Because that's horrible. You didn't get even close to that look. I mean, the artwork doesn't match, the figure doesn't match the artwork really in a lot of ways, but that head sculpt is frickin' garbage. Flippin', frickin', whatever word you want to use. That's not a swear word. What is it? It's bad. It's bad. Kill it with fire. Aesthetically, this figure is trashy. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. There's some clean paintwork on it here and there. It's not the worst sculpt in every place, but as a whole, he's a giant. He's way too tall. Unless recently in the comics Tim has shot up. I don't think that's the case. Does not look good. The reason I was mostly interested in this is the cape, because this is one of the best ways to do, and probably is one of the best examples of a wired cape on a figure in this scale. It's tucked under, so it's actually connected, so you can actually pose the wires. It's not perfect, I mean, you've got some wiggle in here, but you can actually pose the wires, which means the wired cape is useful. If it's just a dangly wired cape, it's almost useless. So this is actually a really good job, and it's a really thick material. It doesn't have really any stretch to it, so I'm not sure what they used, but whatever they did, it worked. It's well scaled. I mean, the actual weave of the fabric, it's well scaled. They had to make it 2-ply to get the yellow in, and they did somehow a really good job with that, despite the weird texture on this inside part. It's a pretty darn good cape, honestly. Like, it's one of the best capes at this size that's made out of cloth with wire. So good on them for that. The rest of the figure looks pretty bad. So aesthetically speaking, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. 9 out of 10 for the cape, though. As far as accessories, guys, well, he's got a whole bunch of hands. Plenty of hands, all the hands you need to make up for all the figures that didn't come with alternate hands. But that's it. No wingdings, no sticks, no batarangs, no throwing things, nothing else for him to do but have a bunch of hands, including gripping hands. You do get the DC display stand, which is just ever so useful, and then you get the card of the artwork on the back of the packaging, which shows you how bad the figure looks in comparison. Okay, so accessory-wise, 3 out of 10, because it's just a bunch of hands, some of them completely useless. Let's talk about the articulation. The head is on ball pegs. It's okay. It's not the worst thing we've ever seen, though it's not as good as it should be. It's all right. It's fine. We do have our usual shoulder, which actually works pretty good on this guy. It's one of the better implementations of this design with the cap and the ball peg that goes into the body. Shoulder itself doesn't have the best range, but with that extra range in the ball, you get that, so it's all right. You're gonna get your full rotation where this isn't in the way. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow, ugly but functional, so that's okay. And then ball hinge wrists should be all right. For the torso, decent range going back really far, like even to the point where it gets gappy. So decent range going back, almost no range going forward. Amazing to me that none of our superheroes need to lean forward from McFarlane, or Hasbro really, but yeah, he leans back nicely. Leaning forward, none, really, no range. And side to side is pretty good, rotation's gonna be fine. You have to force it, but it's there. The belt is a floaty belt, but you keep it down where it belongs and it looks all right. For the hips, can't bring them very far forward, so that's very limited. Going back, you get just a touch. Going out to the side, it's not bad. You can force it into basically splits and it looks pretty good, so I'll take that, but the limited range going forward, just cut a little bit more of the diaper out, Todd. Todd, come on. I'm on a first name basis with Todd. I've never spoken to him before. Okay, for the knees, we have good range, decent enough proportions, but the sculpt on the knees is just like, what were you freaking thinking? What the heck? What in the name of all that is good about action figures is this? Look at that knee. Part of the quad moves with the knee. That black piece is not the kneecap. I'm hoping it's showing up on camera properly. It's like that on both sides. The way you get that, I can tell you exactly how they achieved that. Why they wanted to, I can also tell you. Is they did the sculpt and then they just used a standard cutter in ZBrush or whatever, it's probably ZBrush, to cut out the knee joint. And that's from being lazy and cheap. What you're supposed to do is sculpt the parts. I mean, you can cut them out, but then re-sculpt them so that they look good. What they've done is taken the sculpt and just chopped it up so that when you pose it, you get part of the leg going with the knee. That is just so lazy and cheap. So unfortunate. Man, Hasbro does a lot of that kind of stuff too these days. Ankles are on ball hinges, so that's, I mean, they're really functional other than the heavy ratcheting, which has been a problem with McFarlane toys since they started this DC line. Obviously very functional though. Other than the ratcheting. And then the toe is fine, so that's good. Yeah, articulation on this guy, it's fine. I'll give it a 7. It's there enough. But it's still just such an ugly figure that I can't abide. The articulation and the cape are like, hey, we're making a good figure finally of Robin. But then the rest of the figure is like, oh no, you're not. I'm really, really goofy looking. Especially if you look at my head. So I'm going to give this guy a final rating of... if I'm just counting the cape and the range of motion, it'd be like an 8. Maybe even a 9. But probably not because you can't lean forward. But since I have to count the whole thing, I'm going to give this guy a 5. It's not a worthy addition to any collection, really, unless you're just so into Tim Drake that you can just look past every single flaw with this figure, and there are plenty. So that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Such a shame to waste a good cape on such a bad figure. But at least we have a ton of hands for this guy that can't hold anything or do anything. So anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.